It's an honor to honor Tom as the newest inductee into the Utah Sports Hall of Fame. And I want to take a minute just to read some of the things he's done and where he's been. Tom came to BYU from La Crescenta, California, on a mission to play football, get a great education, and find and marry his BYU cheerleader wife, Lori. Mission accomplished. Tom was an all-WAC defensive back for the Cougs and was selected in the 4th round of the 1983 NFL Draft to the San Francisco 49ers. Over his 7-year NFL career, he played on 3 Super Bowl championship teams with the Niners in 84, 88, and 89. He also earned another Super Bowl ring as a coach with the 49ers. That's 4 Super Bowl rings. It is absolutely incredible. After retiring from the NFL, he served as a graduate assistant under Lavelle Edwards from 90 to 91. He coached DBs at Stanford with Bill Walsh for 2 years, 92 and 93. He then coached for the 49ers during their 94 Super Bowl run, and he coached prime time Deion Sanders. 2 years later, he was the defensive coordinator at the University of California and later became the head coach at Cal from 97 to 2001. He came back to BYU to run the development office for athletics and then became the athletic director. He graduated from BYU with a degree in zoology and a master's degree from BYU in athletic administration. He has 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Tom's teammate Ronnie Lott heard about this press event today. Ronnie is the greatest safety to ever play the game of football. He's in the NFL Hall of Fame. He said, "Tom is the best teammate who did everything to help his team win. Tom sacrificed his body many times on the field. He even wore a neck roll because of the way he hit. He was a part of the AWB that had members Ricky Gervais, Milt McColl, and Bill Ring. It's not the average white man, but known as the hard-hitting average white boys that Bill Walsh would call the most important need of the team, the backups. Yes, Bill would rave about these guys. Congrats to Tom. I would not be in the Hall of Fame if I didn't have Tom as a teammate. He truly made a difference in my life, and he still does." Ronnie Lott. Please welcome Tom Holmoe, the soon-to-be inductee to the Utah Sports Hall of Fame. Tom is happy to take some questions about this great event and the upcoming gala to honor the Utah Sports Hall of Fame. So welcome, Tom. All right.
First of all, thank you to the Utah Sports Hall of Fame for this award. It's pretty humbling experience to get a call and say you're going to that Hall of Fame. I have been to the induction ceremony for years, and I've just always been impressed by the people that go in. But this kind of goes back a long time. I grew up in Southern California, and I thought I had the greatest coaches that there ever were, whether it was Pop Warner in elementary school and high school. I just loved my coaches and teachers that took care of me. But I was a California boy. I mean, I grew up down by the ocean, and I was never going to leave California. And somehow, when I was about 10 years old, I ended up coming to Utah. I have an aunt and uncle that lived in Salt Lake. This is the first time I'd ever been to Utah. It was the hottest place I'd ever been in the earth. And I didn't really like it. That was my one memory until BYU started to recruit me. And coming to BYU and to the state of Utah, it really changed my life. As I look back on my career and my life, coming to this state really super advanced the more people in my life. And as I look at the Utah Sport Hall of Fame right now, I see incredible people in the Hall of Fame. These are people that were my coaches, Lavelle, Dick Felt, my teammates, numerous teammates, and guys like Coach Mack and Dick Rosetta and many other media people, coaches from BYU and other schools, players from all different kinds of college football teams in the state that I knew. They're my friends, and they had an influence on me that was incredible. So coming to the state of Utah was incredible. having that experience to be at BYU and play football for Lavelle Edwards and with my teammates was a stroke of luck that I didn't intend to come to BYU. I wouldn't have come to BYU if I didn't get hurt. And so I think there's providence involved that I ended up this California kid in the state of Utah. And so now coming into the Utah Sports Hall of Fame, it has particularly meaning for me because of the people. It's just an incredible state. I have the opportunity to fly around the country to meetings and games all the time. And one of my favorite feelings is flying into Salt Lake. I don't know if you have that feeling, but for a California kid, I thought I'd never have that feeling that Utah is home. And it's hard to believe that the mountains, the feeling that we get being in this great state, the people that are here, the way of life that we have, it's so special. And I have been inspired by the athletes, the coaches, and the people that are in this Hall of Fame. And I just really hope that I can carry on that tradition. As I look through the names, there's so many names on there that I didn't really know. They go back to boxers and rodeo champs, and it's such a diverse group, but I know and trust that they all have their place there. And I know that the future of this state will, in the state of sports, will be something really special because of the people that will help make it happen. We're in this age right now, day and age, of crazy things happening in sports. Crazy things happening in sports. But I would stand strong, and I believe in what this Hall of Fame does because it puts an emphasis on the importance of sports in our life. You have the concussion issues dealing with football, that little league kids and moms don't want their kids to play football anymore. And I can understand the fear, but we have to do a great job of keeping those teams together and having those opportunities that so many of us had that changed our life. When Chad brings up Ronnie Lott and the relationship we have, you can feel how strong that is. Those relationships don't happen if you're not on a team. And there's something about the great sport of football that brings people together from different walks of life, different religions, different socioeconomic, different geographic parts of the country. And all that stuff, all the hate, fear, all those feelings of negativity go away. It's a great thing that coaches can bring players together and those things go away. There's always problems in the world. There's problems with teams. Hey, our football team's got a little rough spot right now. And that's part of it, is that it's probably some of the most rewarding times are when you're, as a team, you can go through difficult times together. The growth that you get, the growth that you feel, the way you change, the way you develop, the affections that you have for your teammates. All of that stuff is so important. And I think that the people that run the Sports Hall of Fame, the people that are in it, the other organizations around the state of Utah, there's so many good sport organizations that take care of our kids through the youth, Little League, all the way up through high school associations, great high school association here in the state, the way it's covered by the media. We've got something really special in this state, and we have to fight to stay together and to keep it. We got a great rivalry with the Utes and the Cougs and the Aggies. Let's not leave them out. And that's been a fun and exciting part of my career in Utah, is to be able to have these incredible rivalries where we duke it out on the field and then come back as buds and friends. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for coming today. And I'm honored by this award. I'll take a couple questions if you can kind of stick to the Hall of Fame.
You're known for having a bunch of funny stories, really entertaining stuff that happened over the years. Can you recall a couple and regale people?
Oh, man. No. Oh, man. B. Santiago, help me with a story.
Booster.
I'll tell you a good story. Okay, it's story time. So one of my favorite stories involves the Miracle Bowl against SMU, BYU SMU, 1980, and that game was on the Mizlu television network, and it was everybody knows the story of the game. But I have a lot of great my high school teammates were at the game, a bunch of them, because they went to San Diego State, and after the game, I would always stay in San Diego with my friends because we were done with our school at BYU and the season was over. And I'd spend a couple days in the sun. And with my buddies, they were still in school. And that night, it was late. We were in the locker room for hours after the game. And it was so late, no one wanted to leave the locker room. But after we got out of there, we were starving. So back down there, all the fast food places were closed. It was well after midnight. There was some mom and pop store open. So we went in there to grab some junk food. And I went up to pay at the counter, and I saw this guy from out of the country watching a replay of the BYU SMU game on his little square television. And I said, "What you watching there, buddy?" And he said, "Oh, BYU's getting killed in this game. There's about 4 minutes to go, and they're going to get killed." And I said, "Yeah, I've watched BYU a little bit this year, and they have a tendency to come back. They're a good comeback team." He goes, "There's no way." I said, "I got $20 and say you come back and win that game." And so I put $20 out. He said, "You're on." He looked at me like he didn't think that was a very good, wise bet for me. So I proceeded to kind of call the game, like, "Gosh, we need a onside kick right here." "Oh, yeah, they got it." "We got to block this kick." "We block a punt." And he's looking at me, he goes, "No, they're going to run out of time. They're going to run out of time for sure." And so Jimmy Mack throws a couple passes and come down to the last straw, and he goes, "That was close." I said, "It's not over till it's over." And BYU wins. My guys are going, "Come on, let's get out of here. What are you doing?" They know me. And so Kirk Gunther kicks the PAT, and we win the game. And that guy looks at me like I'm Nostradamus. And I look at him and say, "Hey, buddy, I played in that game." And he couldn't understand. How could you play in the game if you're here with me now? He thought it was live. And I said, "Look, I went to BYU. I'm a BYU boy, so I can't take this money from you." I gave it back to him. He still, to this day, has no idea what ever happened. But the fun and games of college football. Is that good enough?
That was good.
Okay. Yes?
Could you just say a word about Coach Edwards and the relationship?
Oh,
What
boy.
made him real special?
You would ask me to do that. I see a couple of guys that played for Lavelle here today, and it's kind of still hard. It's still kind of fresh for us to be able to, have him pass on. But it's a great memory. I don't think I would have come to BYU if it wasn't for him. I had Fred Whittingham and Dick Felt recruiting me, but I'll tell a quick story that might sum it up, and then I won't get too emotional about the details. But when I came up for my meeting, or for my recruiting visit, I was in his office, and I've told this a few times, but went in to see him, and I've done those. I've been on the other side of the table, and you're trying to sell the kid on how you can play early, and you're going to be a star. And he looked at me and said, "I think you have a bright future here at BYU. If you play the cards right, and you stay out of trouble, and you go to school and you do well in your classes, and if you work really hard on the field and get a little stronger, get a little faster." I'm going, "Okay, well, where are we going with this, Coach?" He goes, you might be able to break into that lineup as in your third year." That's what he told me. You ever use that line, Coach Mack?
Not always.
And I thought, man, does he know who I am? I'm going to play. I'm going to play as a freshman. And we're brash, all the freshmen. He goes, no, I didn't say that, but he goes, I believe in you, and I think you could do it if you really worked hard. And I was speechless. I didn't say anything, and I flew home. And then I went to my other schools, and those coaches were telling me, I think you might be able to play as a freshman. I really do. You know, you got everything that it takes. And in listening to all those coaches, and in the quiet moments, because it wasn't a slam dunk I was going to come to BYU. When it came right down to the nitty gritty, I realized that he told me the truth. He was the one coach that told me the truth. And something in my heart said, I believe in him. And when I came to BYU, that's the man he was. I could tell you a lot more stories. We all could tell you stories about his character and integrity, and the way he dealt with you was going to be square up and straight up in front. And as it turned out, I redshirted my freshman year. I played very little in my redshirt freshman year on special. I played a lot on special teams, but I think I played maybe 10 snaps on defense. And in my third year, I started. So he pretty much predicted where I would be. And for that and many others, I'm grateful for Lavelle.
You know, Lavelle didn't win them all. He won most of them. But there were tough times, and you probably talked to him about some of those times. Is there some of that advice that you recall from him now? Because obviously September's been hard for BYU football fans. Is there something you fall back on, stories he's told?
Yeah, you know, I think that's a good question. I think the key thing with Lavelle and what he helped instill in us is that we're going to win a lot of games, but we're not going to win them all. And there may be some tough, difficult times during the season. And I think the stability that he brought to our mentality of football, we knew we were good. We had a little swagger, but he kept that kind of swagger in check a little bit. So the highs were not too high, and the lows were not too low. And I think that after, he wasn't a guy that would, if people know this, that would give you a huge pep talk before the game. And so after the game, he wasn't going to chew you out for maybe playing badly. I think through the course of the next week or weeks, he would use his skills as a coach and as a person to bring out the best in you and let you put things behind. I think maybe a better example might be when I was coaching for him for 2 years. On Sundays, I've got to tell the true story here. We would come in. I think that people realize that, but you got to get ready to go on Monday. And so on Sunday we'd come in and we'd watch the game. It was after the last person's church on the staff, so we'd come in at about 5 o'clock, and he would run over to Burger King and bring over, 50 hamburgers and fries, and that was every Sunday. And we'd watch the game film as a staff, and he would kind of talk about the film. And so from a win or a loss, whether we played great or whether we played poorly, week after week eating my hamburger, I'd think, this guy's something else. Because I just came from the 49ers where the emotions were really, really high and really, really low. But we were pros. That was our job. That was expected of us. We were collegiate athletes at BYU, and he treated us as such. He challenged us to a degree, but not unruly. The rules were always kept, and I think for that, everyone that played for him walks away with an incredible lesson. Okay? Thank you once again. I sure appreciate it.